So I'm going to teach you guys hand drill. All right, so the hand drill is really awesome. Usually if you see like a lot of movies or whatever, they're trying to do the fire, this is what they're doing, right? Or if like you just give kids 2 sticks and tell them to start fire, they either just do this or they'll actually spin it wherever they see it. I don't know if it's like a natural human thing to just gravitate towards that, you know? Just maybe it's stored in our DNA a little bit about doing this. I don't know, but kids, I'll notice, I don't know if they've seen it before, but they'll go to inherently do it this way. So hand drill is a very natural, simple thing, because all you really need is 3 things, because you need a tinder bundle. But so the baseboard, I like to use softwood, so like really good dead dry pine, cedar, willow. I'm giving you guys all eastern white cedar today. That's my favorite wood to work with, but any really softwood will work. Hardwoods could work, it's just a lot harder. And I know we say rubbing 2 sticks together, but this actually isn't a stick. It's like a weed, right? Or like like the plants that you see like growing on the side of the road and stuff like that. In the end, if you don't really know what the plant is, but you notice that it's straight and long, about as thick as your pinky to your index finger, and that it has a harder shell on the outside and a soft inner pith on the inside. You don't need to know what the plant is. That's hand drill right there. That's a good spindle right there, right? You could use like a piece of wood, like a dowel or something like that, right? But it's going to be really hard, all right? Because with the bow drill, we can push down. That's why we can have a thick wood spindle. With hand drill, it needs to be long because our hands are going to go down, and then we have to transition up, all right? So when I find the hand drill spindles, this is all horseweed, all right? Horseweed, mullein, goldenrod, evening primrose, cattails even work too, like the long stems on cattails, those work great. You know, there's all different woods out there. But again, just harder shell, soft inner pith, straight, okay? You can have it be as long as you want, you know, as long as it's straight. If it has a slight curve to it, that's okay, it will still work. So what I do is I find these plants, if you cut them live, you just have to let them dry. So like when it comes to survival, you have to find a dead one, which if you're in like the summer and all the plants are alive, it might be hard to actually find a dead one. So cut it and, you know, let it dry if that's all you can find, because the dead ones might be decomposed because they died in the fall all the way around. So it just depends. This time of year, it's great to find them because we're in the fall, and this is when I actually gather my spindles for the year. All right. So I have my stick. Now what I'm going to do is I'm not going to sharpen it. All right. What I do is I face my knife towards me. I put my spindle on top, and I wrap my thumb around. And this is called scoring. All I'm doing is just scoring a little line. Okay. And then I can snap my spindle and then it breaks flat. Okay, you can just get rid of that. Carve that. Okay. And on this, I have a bunch of like where all the leaves were coming out. It's like branches. So what I do is I just take my knife. I'm not whittling. I'm scraping. All right. And that's great tinder too, by the way, if you want to save that into like a little bandana or something. All right, nice and smooth. It doesn't have to be like 100% smooth, but the rougher it is, the harder it's going to be on your hands. I like them just to have a little bit of grit to them. All right, so that's a hand drill spindle. Your baseboard, just take a log or whatever, softwood, split it up, or even just like a dead pine, split it in half, whittle the bark off because the bark tends to hold sap under it. And then I like to just make like a little mini board. That's fine on that side. So that's good enough there. All right. So what I do now is since I can't sharpen my stick, I can't like drill a hole into my board. So I do this a little bit differently than bow drill. What I'm going to do, horseweed has an amazing smell. I really like the smell of it. So I'm like reeks right now after scraping that bark off. So I make a little circle. All right, I just take my thing, spread it around, make a circle. Then I take my knife and just trace that with the tip. Okay, so now I have a circle, and I take my knife tip and just pluck that up. This is very easy to do with stone tools because there's really not much knife work, and it's easy knife work. Okay, just a little depression there, and that's going to start us out. Make sense? So when I go to do the hand drill, there's 2 ways you can do it. With bow drill, falling over here. You stand on top of, and you want to use the thick end of your spindle. With bow drill, you stand up like this. If you do this with hand drill, you can get more downward pressure initially, but when you get to the bottom, you start to lose some control. What I like to do is sit on my butt and put this over like this. And then I feel like I have less downward pressure, but I have more range of my spindle. So what I'm going to do with this is 3 things. I'm going to push my hands together, I'm going to push them down, and I'm going to try to use the full length of my hand. All right, because again, every time I change direction, my spindle stops. So if I'm doing this, right, it's gonna, if you have to do that in the beginning, fine, just to keep it in the hole, because the big thing is to keep it in there at first. All right, because if you're kind of off center, it'll come out. All right, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna go down, even if you go slow like this. Sometimes I like to do that just to kind of warm it up. When you're down here, you're gonna grab it, push it down, come up, push your thumb down, meet your hands together, and then you're good to go. All right. So what I'm going to do here is just warm it up. And I don't like squeaking with hand drill. Sometimes you got to roughen that up. There we go. Just going to burn through that. Okay, I'm getting a little bit of smoke. I'm just going to go for a little bit. All I do is burn that out a little, okay? Don't touch that, because if you lubricate that, hand drill's more sensitive than bow drill. You can't really just burn through stuff, so keep it off the wet ground. Keep it off of any skin oils or anything like that. So now we have this dust that's very light dust. It'll get darker when we do it, but we need to gather that into one place. So we're going to carve a notch, okay? And all that dust, whoops, whittle that off. All that dust is going to turn into a coal once it gets hot enough. Now with hand drill, if you feel like your hands are kind of blistery, stop before they feel like that. Once they start getting really hot, stop and take a break. Do not just keep going. Jake,
it's a challenge.
Because the thing with hand drill is it's one of those things where you could just keep going, but then if you end up getting a blister, you're going to be out of commission for whenever to do this
survival scenario.
Yeah, then you have to be done. But if you go and you take this, because I want you guys to bring these home, and even in your house or whatever, just do some hand drill, right? If you want, you could even just put a little bit of chapstick on that if you keep it in your house, and just practice the technique. Don't worry about getting a coal. Make it so that you don't get a coal. Lubricate it. I have one of those bow drill handhold rocks. I just have that and a really nice hand drill spindle just in my house, and maybe before bed or if I wake up or something, I think about it. Oh, I should do some hand drill, because if you do it, you can get calluses on your hands, and you kind of condition your skin to be more used to it, all right? You could get a wood shaving or whatever. I just use my knife. I'll put that on the ground, and then put that on there, all right? Now, so you see that notch. I know you guys, because you guys saw the bow drill, but for you, Mary, it's kind of like a slice of pie, but you don't want to go to the middle, all right? So you just do a little slice there throughout the full length of the height of the wood. All right, and again, with the baseboard, the hand drill spindle should be about as thick as the baseboard is tall, okay? Which is about, for hand drill, it's like your index finger thickness. Okay, so now I'm gonna go for it. Can't even tell what the thicker end is on this one. I guess it really doesn't matter. So what I like to do when I start is I just warm it up, all right? Now this is called floating, where I can get downward pressure, but I'm tilting my fingers up. This is something just that you guys are aware. In the beginning, I just want you to try to go down, but once you start getting used to it, you can float. And some people can even go to the bottom and float up. I'm not really that good at it, but float up and get a coal just by doing it reverse, which is fun. But you can go down, so you can go down and then you can float up if you want to just always keep it going.
Why is the notch there again?
What?
Why did you put
So
a notch
the
in?
notch is there so that all the dust can gather into one spot. and then you can heat it up, and then it won't burst into flame. It'll just be a little tiny coal.
Yeah.
So again, I'm pushing my hand down. You can see that fast transition. Okay? I'm always keeping downward pressure on it. If it comes out, I lose that heat. So that dust now, that notch is full of dust. So I might give it a few extra hard ones. So you can see there's a coal right there, okay? So what I do is you can chill out a little bit. Watch someone's dog come and like ruin this. So I might feed it that dust. And then we're gonna get tinder. I brought some jute twine. You guys can fluff that up. Some cedar bark. All right, this is all good cedar bark that we gathered yesterday. Nice and scraggly, all right? That goes in there. Make a little bird nest. And the hand drill coal is a lot more small than bow drill. Get all that in there. And then blow it into flame. And if you get smoke, kind of make sure that the wind's blowing it away and put it above your face. You don't breathe it in. But you guys can see it, right? So as it gets bigger, I'm compressing my tinder and blowing on it harder. Okay? So what cedar bark likes to do is like catch on fire and then go out and then catch on fire. But it's very resilient. It's going to stay that way now. So now what I would do, of course, like the one match fire, this goes under where I built my fire, blow it into flame, and I'll have a campfire, and that's that. So any questions? I'm going to put this out, but you guys see it.
Good job.
Yeah,
Thank
that
you
looks
very
awesome
much.
right now, too.